afternoon, morning, or whatever time you are deciding to watch this feed. I am your play-by-play caster, username _Intel, here joined by Mr. Dividing by Zero, and we are here to cast the Intermediate GGEU finals of... What's the team dividing?
The teams competing today are, of course, Aztec Ruins and Okeanos. Super exciting matchup today, especially considering when you were to look at the standings of these teams going into these playoff matches, you might not have thought that this would be the matchup we'd be getting Intel. Aztec Ruins and Okeanos are the number 6 and number 8 seeds respectively, both of them going 5 and 3 in the Swiss bracket, but as you can see, they have both definitely fought their way through this bracket. Aztec Ruins beat Lava Lilies, the number 1 seed as up to that point, undefeated team in this division in the first round, and managed to get in through the winner's bracket from there. And then you see Okeanos there. They started at number 6 and ended up actually losing the first round of the winner's bracket. And you see them fighting their way all the way through the loser's bracket, defeating the number 5, number 3, and number 2 seeds on their way to this game today. So despite the original seeding, both these teams have definitely earned their spot in the grand finals today.
100%. It's not often every day you can see one of the lower bracket teams kind of making a standing and showing that standings are only numbers and they can win any type of scenario, especially in the losers bracket. Once you lose that, it's pretty much all over. But Arkeanos showing that they can bring it from a tough fight into an easy win.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't say it was necessarily easy. Both these teams have gone through plenty of map 5 scenarios to get to this point, but they have done a very good job in getting their way through that and staying composed when the pressure is at the highest, and that is what separates the good teams from the great teams. As we are getting ready to get into our first matchup pretty soon, I think, Intel.
Oh yeah, and we're going to be starting out on Control as normal. And Control often is kind of the momentum starter for these maps. I often see teams either warming up on it and they're okay to lose the map, or they win the map and just bring that energy on to the next one. So I'm really expecting these teams to try to show off in whatever form they can.
Yeah, absolutely. We should be getting into it pretty soon.
Yeah, we're starting out on Ilios, and
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Ilios is not a popular control map that we see teams often run. I think it's we often see a bit more of Lijiang Tower or even Nepal.
Yeah, actually, both these teams currently have Busan written as their favorite control map. So the fact that we're starting off on Ilios, maybe a teeny bit out of teams' comfort zones, but I don't think very many teams are super uncomfortable with Ilios, especially if you're a Lucio main. Definitely their favorite maps for sure. And I think that there's a lot of very interesting map geometry here. Of course, a lot of people think of Well, but I also think that Lighthouse and Ruins have some very creative map setups in themselves that offer themselves for a lot of different strategies, like the long sight lines of Ruins and the sort of enclosed point that comes with Lighthouse.
Yeah, it's always a kind of varying compositions that you can run, especially because we've often see Ilios of all points bring it to a 99-99 scenario. It really matters on your positioning and target focus when you're going into these fights. A simple hiding behind the wall could end up winning a team fight for the entirety of the map.
Yeah, absolutely, Intel. Hopefully we should be getting in just a second. Let's go through a couple of fun facts that I wrote down about these teams, considering, we took a quick look through their team Twitters. Aztec won the winners finals matchup last week with 2 ringers in the starting lineup, so obviously great for them. Meanwhile, Okeanos supposedly has not scrimmed for an entire month leading up to today.
Man, that reminds me of the Apprentice Division, or whatever we're calling it, for GGNA. There was a team that won recently, did not scrim very much, and they just managed to bring it home. I feel like some teams don't really need the scrim. They just have the power to play together.
Absolutely. And now we are heading into Ilios, starting off on Well, of course, very well known for its namesake, but Both teams currently showing, well, I can talk about Aztec Ruins. I think Okeanos will probably be swapping things up a little bit. Aztec Ruins, though, showing what has been a comp that I've seen several times this weekend. This sort of Sombra Reaper Winston Brawl variant, where they're going to be using the Lucio Speed Boost, the Winston Jump and Bubble, the Sombra Hack, to try and burst down a member of Aztec Ruins quickly. Okeanos, though, is going to go with the much more scrappy Wrecking Ball Diva comp, as well as looking for Fireman on that Echo to provide support from the skies. And this is actually a pretty good pick. Not sure exactly if Aztec Ruins have much of an answer for a flying DPS, but oh no!
Yeah, they weren't prepared for it. Aztec are immediately just going to start the fight by running into Arkeanos. Their entire composition is setting up and planning around what they see. But Aztecs are just making sure to hack the ball and continue pushing forward. They're putting pressure on the Brig. Jocko is immediately having to retreat, is going to try to boot them off the map, but Sombra's able to start finishing them off. We see the rematch come out from Jono, but it looks like the loser is going to be able, and Aztec setting in the pace really fast in this match. They're going to be demecking the Diva and making sure that they have first control of the point.
Yeah, first control of the point should move over to Aztec pretty soon. I think they played this... Oh, Yatan just going straight into the well. Or Eaton. This team played that Winston Rush comp extremely well here. They saw that the Ana BIOS was kind of sectioned off and jumped on him instantly. Okeanos just did not have time to respond. Now we have Fireman swapping over to the Pharah, seeing that Aztec likes to play very bunched up. So, hoping to build up a very quick barrage here as Okeanos begins their engage.
They commit back into the fight. We're going to see the Sticky come out. It's just barely going to be missing the Winston named Sombra as they're fighting on the high ground. Jocko goes down dangerously low. Looks like the support's BIOS is just not going to be able to get that peel to be able to save himself. Looks like Mecha is going to try to retreat from the fight, but the ultimate built up. Dark Fox does have the Death Blossom. When the Primal is built, they have the room to play the game. Septic is going to be demech. That Primal and Coalescence going to be engaged, hoping to make some space. Looks like Fireman's going to die from the splash damage. The Death Blossom coming out. It is going to force them to start moving back and to help enable the demech, and they're just continuously pushing in. Unfortunately, Arkeanos just don't have the room to play their comp the way they want to.
Yeah, I'm looking at Okeanos' comp right now, and I'm looking at BIOS on this Ana, and when you see this kind of comp, you generally see it played with maybe like a Brig or a Baptista player that's a little more able to deal with dive. BIOS doesn't really have anyone that can reliably peel for him on this Ana if he gets dove, and that makes him a prime dive target, and Aztec Ruins has been taking advantage of that, as now they have 82% of the points. Could be last fight.
Look at that, they pop out the Diva Bomb and Barrage, managing to get 2 picks. Wow, we see Tilted trying to even it up by getting out Oni. The counter bomb now coming out from Septic, hoping to force people back. BIOS, once again, is picked off very early in this fight. They're not going to be having any form of consistent healing, so Jocko has to use the Valk to help them out. The point hasn't flipped over. Aztec looking to want to win this off. Sombra returns back into the fight and is starting able to pick people off. It looks like Arkeanos just don't have that many ultimates. BIOS is coming back with the Nano Boot, but Fireman is looking to win this back, making sure to hit those direct hits, putting in those splash damage. Sombra comes back, and Tilted uses the the EMP, forcing the team back, and it looks like they're pressuring, trying to touch the point. The only person left who can really have a chance is Mecha-ing, but he's suffering because Tilted is there making sure to hack, so he can't even use the mobility to his advantage. BIOS is the last person alive, just barely trying to touch the point, but it's going to be LOS'd out of the way. And it looks like Aztec are very confident in setting the momentum as they win the first point of Ilios.
The Ana just doesn't seem to be working very well for Okeanos here. I get why it's there. Obviously, very good single target healing from the Ana. But when you've got that Ana, when you've got the For Mercy in the skies, the other support is pretty much in charge of making sure that the tanks and the other DPS stay healthy, so that the Mercy can mostly just stay with the Pharah. And when BIOS goes down early, that means those 3 players have extremely limited healing available to them. So now we see Okeanos moving on to a much more traditional Brawl comp. This seems to make a lot more sense by swapping over to the Baptiste. Having access to that self-heal and the Immortality field should do him wonders.
Not gonna lie, the Widowmaker is kind of risky going in with their dive composition. It just doesn't suit well, especially because Arkeanos are playing in an angle to where the Widowmaker can't see. They use that immortality, and they're gonna be playing down on the point. Now Widow has sightlines. They're able to melt down Sombra, now putting pressure into the Reaper, but they have to rate the way. Dark Fox not wanting to be picked up, and they're just continuously playing on the low ground. Without their Monkey, they have no use or reason to dive. The D.Va now popping in. They are gonna be able to pick off Photosynthesis as the D.Va gets demech, and they start winning the point. This is the issue with the Widow. They just have Mecha pointing their shield, and the Widow just can't have those sightlines from such a far angle.
Yeah, the Widowmaker is such, like, a high-risk, high-reward character, because obviously if Tilted can get sightlines and get a couple picks off, that is massively important for Aztec Ruins to win the fight. But if he's blocked off, then it's essentially just a 5v6 on the ground. Tilted only had about 30% of the way to ult, and E-Town's already there.
Now, Arkeanos, Jocko uses the sound barrier. They are going to commit the shatter, but they're just going to barely miss it. Now the High Noon comes out. It is immediately going to be eaten. E-Town is going to be upset, but looks like Mecha got LOS from his Baptiste, and that's going to be a big issue. Both tanks are gone because Sombra is now missing. They use the window to put in some extra damage. Dark Fox is going to be bursted down from it, and they even use the D.Va Bomb trying to make it even. Bios making sure to take down Septic. The Coalescence coming out, but there's just no one else to help follow in. So at most, you're just doing damage rather than healing for anyone.
Aztec Ruins is having so much trouble breaking this brawl comp of Okeanos right now. These comps are always so momentum-based, it feels like. When they start winning a fight, they can win over and over and over again. However, Aztec Ruins, this is probably their best chance. They're going to have the bomb, they're going to have the beat, and both DPS ultimates coming up soon as well. This is probably their best chance, and they have to do it now.
Yep, they're going up against the Blizzard. It's going to be popped down. The sound barrier is used to helpfully peel them in. Dark Fox does manage to get Bios, but trades in their own life. However, that's the one pick you need. Arkeanos, they're forced to use the sound barrier because they don't have enough healing. That D.Va Bomb goes so far into the backline, but the High Noon is able to find out. Fireman Septic, however, evens it up, manages to find Mecha with the kill. Jocko and Joni. That is just amazing. What a quick way to even the fight.
Aztec wins the fight, but it takes every single ultimate that they had in their bank. So they're going into this one with pretty much just Sombra's Primal Rage on deck. Okeanos, though, for their knowledge, they also don't have very many ults going into this fight. So this is pretty much just going to be like a pure neutral fight coming up, where it's honestly just going to come down to which brawl comes out on top.
Ooh. It looks like both of the Krees are traded, sacrifice for the lambs as the pressure gets put onto Meching, and Bios are not going to be able to survive. Though Sombra misses the jump, just barely doesn't have the recharge, so they fall off the map, but they manage to get Jonin, who is looking to reset regardless.
Yeah, at that point, may as well just give Sombra the ult charge as a sort of pity prize there. As we see in the chat, a worthy sacrifice indeed. Moving forward, though, Aztec Ruins are coming up on Photosynthesis's Coalescence. Bios, though, is going to engage with the Ant Matrix, and Aztec Ruins need to give this a lot of respect.
Yeah, Dark Fox on the flank is going to shut down Bios, so that window is not going to get any more value. Sombra is going to be frozen on the point, and their bubble's broken while the bomb comes out. Looks like Dark Fox is able to race behind it, but they were prepared, managing to get both Sombra and Dark Fox tilted. Tries to even it up by getting Fireman, but the High Noon is going to finish off that. Lucio and Ethan finds Septic, who was just coming down, and now it's 99%. None of them can really touch the point. The Lucio died last, so the Winston just has to try to jump, but it's just too slow, and we're going on to the last point because Okeanos, they don't want to lose in any form of fashion.
Oh, of course not. We're in Grand Finals right now. You don't want to lose in any game, but this one, the least of all. Honestly, that fight looked like it was going really well for Aztec Ruins. They got a very early pick off onto the Baptiste, thanks to a nice Reaper flank coming out from Dark Fox, but Ethan came up huge in that fight for Aztec, clicking headshot after headshot. I think got about 3 kills in that fight. Okeanos is going to stick onto the brawl for this round, and Aztec Ruins looks like they're going to stick with it, but Dark Fox on the Symmetra. I'm very curious, is this just to help his team get off a point, or are they planning to take advantage of the Sombra within the point? Dark Fox is sticking on it, so looks like we're going to be seeing some very nice Symmetra play coming out, which is, I always love to see that.
Yeah, they don't take the teleporter directly onto the point. Rather, they're going to go on that high ground and then teleport. They get a moment to see the enemy's composition. But now it's Arkeanos' job to try to break through not only that Symmetra turret, but through all the poke that's initially coming in. It's going to have to be a fast one, and they're just playing this slow tango on this point. They're just looking for these little peaks. Ethan just kind of taking the flank, looking to make some pot shots, just saying hi, saying goodbye, looking for a big pick as Mega Shield is going down dangerously low. We are seeing Fireman, the Windows first built on the side of Bios. That's the big opportunity that they were looking for. They managed to find Okie Dokie with it, and now they're just going to continuously push in. The window counter comes from the Aztecs, but that Symmetra wall comes out a little too late because Arkeanos, they pop their ults first, and they're going to start to gain control, even if Aztec cap the point first.
That was a beautiful Sombra teleport play there from Dark Fox and Aztec Ruins. Because of that, they're able to get onto the point really quick and take first point control away from Okeanos, so already 25% of the point built. But, unfortunately, Okeanos were eventually able to push in thanks to the utility of Fireman's May. A nice May wall prevented Aztec Ruins from being able to back up like they wanted to. And now Okeanos in control. They have so many tools to stay in control as well. The High Noon, the Blizzard, the Shatter, the Bomb, the Beat. It's all online.
They have so much to win this fight, but it looks like that mech's gonna be coming out first. But Tilted, pocketed, gets the shielding, uses the High Noon to get 2 picks. The Blizzard is forcing people off points, going to allow them to get tilted, so the Diva Bomb is used to stop that Shatter from getting follow-up. But we see Dark Fox just on the flank, and it's going to be melting the rest of Arkeanos. They may have a lot of ults, but they used them so passively that Aztec just refused to let them get value.
Yeah, when it comes to these rush comps, it's honestly tends to be the team that takes the initiative first is the one that wins, and in this fight, that was Aztec Ruins, thanks to a very effective High Noon from Tilted getting 2 quick picks. Okeanos, though, they still held on to their Shatter and their Beat. They know that there's no High Noon on the other side, so maybe they want to use it a little more aggressively now to try and get into this point, as Aztec Ruins is crossing the 50% mark.
Oh, they throw out that Diva Bomb. It forces them onto the right side. Same with the shield, but that Shatter's going to be popped out. Manages to hit 5 of Aztec. They have the sound barrier to be able to sustain for a tiny bit while the window is there to try to burst out some damage. And they are able to get meching, so that's less damage. Those Symmetra turrets are doing wonders as they've managed to force everyone off the point. Arkeanos really only having possibly 1 fight or 2, depending on how long it takes them to get to this next push.
Those Symmetra turrets from Dark Fox absolutely did work. It got 2 kills by themselves there. And you see how when Symmetra is in control of a point like this with enclosed walls and ceilings, how much value those turrets can get. Okeanos, though, this is their last chance to take this first map here as we cross 90%, and they will have several ultimates online to do it, but they've got to act fast.
Yeah, look at them. They're already back into this position to poke. Ethan is going to be looking to use that High Noon. Gets the shielding. That Maywall is going to block them out. Pops it. Isn't able to get the D-Mech, but does some major damage to Septic. Going to be forcing them out of the mech. We're seeing still even trades. Shaco's looking. 3 on the side. It's 3v2 as we see Ethan managing to get this, and it looks like Arkeanos, they're finding the push. It's only the Reinhardt left. The Lucio's trying to peel him out, but there's only so much he could do, Speed Boy, and the looks like Jocko is going to be the superior frog and save the team fight from no form of losing.
Okeanos managed to take the point back, but now we see Fireman swapping onto the Echo here. Again, a hero that can have a lot of value as you get a lot of poke into Aztec Ruins' comp, but if you can't get enough poke, that's a 5v6, and Ethan has already picked off Dark Fox, and Aztec Ruins is just gonna retreat.
It's like they say, don't peek the hit scan. Once they see you, it's already gone.
Yeah, but now that brings us to final fight territory here, Intel. The map comes down to this. Aztec Ruins has the Symmetra wall. They're going to engage with it. They also have both support ultimates to try and take this back.
they're using that window so early while Tilted's on the flank. They're playing split in. It's somewhat tied as the Diva Bomb comes out. Managing to find out too. We're seeing Joni trying to make anything happen with it, but it's going to be a dud. The last person being meching Bios is just not going to be able to touch this point. It's being bullied by the Frog, and they're going to be killed. And it looks like Aztec bringing it back strong with their ultimate, and they're going to be winning the first point, and Ilios in general.
Ilios goes to Aztec Ruins thanks to, in the end, a very nice Diva Bomb coming out from Septi, but gotta give some shouts out to Dark Fox here on this Symmetra. Did so much work here on this Lighthouse point. But yeah, that was an extremely close map though, Intel. I think all three maps either went to 99-99 or went very close to it. It shows that we are in for a real close match here.
Agree. The first one was a 99-0, but that just looked like Arkeanos were just warming up. They maybe hadn't touched the game, no warm-up screen, but they were getting ready afterwards. They just start getting set. What cost them that last round was solely just the Symmetra. If you're not taking her down first in every fight, then her beam is just going to ramp up, as well as the fact that she gets ammo from shooting a shield. So she just benefits from playing into that brawl.
Yeah, Symmetra, a very underrated character in that aspect, able to just continue beaming down players left and right as long as she has shields alongside her to be able to recharge that ammo. But now it is going to be Okeanos who have the map pick here. We're going to be going to a hybrid map and going to be King's Row.
Oh, look
surprising
at this.
Nobody.
Scrims Row back into the roster. I've seen a lot of people complain, asking Blizzard to remove it, or maybe that's just me dreaming that people would say it. We've casted this a lot, and we will continue to cast it. This is a historic map, as we've seen a lot of great plays, we've seen a lot of great teams, but more importantly, we've seen a lot of brawl.
Yeah, I'm looking at Ilios. That makes sense to me. Both these teams played a lot of brawl and brawl sort of variant comps, so I think it makes sense that both these teams have King's Row as their favorite hybrid map in Overwatch. So Okeanos has chosen this map, but I think Aztec Ruins are not sad about the choice either. I think, you know, every team is probably, in Overwatch, has probably scrimmed this map more than any other.
Honestly, I kind of think when people are looking for scrims, no one really asks you what kind of hybrid map you want to go to. It's just... And they'll automatically assume King's Row unless you say otherwise. And even then, teams will just run goats after scrims on King's Row. But honestly, I think Aztecs, they seem to really like that Symmetra. Maybe that's just a control point, but I could definitely see them trying an old strategy of just teleporting behind, looking for flanks, and abusing Arkeanos' issues of dealing with that Symmetra.
Oh, for sure. Symmetra is definitely viable here on King's Row, especially those first points. I think if Aztec Ruins really wants to continue playing Symmetra, they can. However, you also can't deny the value that you would get out of Mei Walls and Mei Freezes in this sort of situation where King's Row has so many tight corridors that you have to squeeze through if you're an attacking team.
Yeah, it can be very dangerous. And I think what we often see in King's Row is I feel like both of these teams could really bring it, capture 3 points, but the issue is I'm worried about which team can close it out, because King's Row can go on forever if you let it, and we've seen teams being able to like have 1 minute compared to 5, cap at 6, hold for 5 minutes, and the room is available. I'm wondering what Arkeanos has to do exactly just to make sure, because they looked even on the brawl, but it looks like Aztec just run the variations to go against it.
Yeah, I think Okeanos just needs to be a little more light on their feet here, able to deal with whatever variations that Aztec Ruins might be throwing at him here. We did switch sides, so Aztec Ruins is going to be starting on the attack this time around. And yeah, I mean, I think Okeanos, very good in a brawl mirror, but got thrown off when Aztec Ruins tried something a little bit different. So just got to be able to identify the weaknesses in the Symmetra comp or whatever they're going to run here and be able to exploit them. Overwatch is in the end a game about switching heroes to counter your enemy. Aztec Ruins, I'd be very surprised if they stay on that comp. So let's talk about Okeanos, who are on an extremely, I mean, this is about as traditional brawl as it gets, Intel.
I mean, you can't get more normal than vanilla ice cream that are running just the standard broad composition because it enables the Mei to just wall people off. The Kree can get so much value just shooting, and everyone else is just obvious. Bab's never going out of meta. Aztecs are just having fun trying to figure out what they do. And it's rather just how they set the momentum going into this fight. They need that speed and they need to not hesitate. But it even looks like Aztec, while they do have the Widowmaker, it's just going to be for a pot shot because they're just mirroring.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be finding a very quick mirror matchup here. You see Tilted going to only see a Diva, Matrix, and a Rhine Shield. But interesting, looks like Tilted is making a move to stay on this Widowmaker here, trying to find a bit of an off angle.
Yeah, an amazing Maywall already forces out both immortalities on the teams. Sombra is down dangerously low. Their shield is not being pocketed, but Tilted's forcing them to play in a very crucial angle. Ethan is able to find out photosynthesis, so the majority of the healing on Aztec is gone. So Archeanos are just continuously being able to walk in. Sure, they can't play in the main sightlines, but does it really matter because the Widow is forcing Aztecs to play in a 5v6?
Yeah, honestly, Okeanos, whether it was intentional or not, pretty much played exclusively behind the hotel, which very much limits the sight lines that a Widowmaker can have on them from, you know, the high grounds that she can play from. So Tilted was very not effective in that first fight, and as expected, we'll swap back onto the Kree.
That's unfortunate. They attempt to rotate out of the Windows LOS. However, Fireman uses the wall, manages to find Dark Fox with it, and then they just burst them down. Dark Fox is going to be the first one coming up with the Blizzard, and that may give them the opportunity to push in. But Ethan has a High Noon. It's pretty much a rock, paper, scissors type of ult economy right now.
Yeah, as Okeanos is pushing back in, we're going to need to see it's which team takes the initiative first, and unfortunately the wall from Dark Fox is a little bit far away, and look at them, they're going to push through the hotel, Okeanos. And the Blizzard's eaten!
Septic's able to eat Fireman's Blizzard, which was very obvious if you ask me. It looks like they're just going to continuously push in. Dark Fox uses the Blizzard first, and Joni just wasn't prepared because they were pushing back, and that gives them the opportunity to get value off of it and end up winning the fight.
Beautiful read there from Septi. I think if the Blizzard had gone off from Fireman, Aztec Ruins would have been in a lot more trouble in that fight, but able to only have the only Blizzard on the field be their own Blizzard is obviously an incredible buff to a fight. Now we see a nice Maywall there from Dark Fox. The Rhine is sectioned off. As going into this next fight, we're seeing shatters coming up from both Rhines.
Oh, but Joni pops the Diva Bomb. And there was just nothing Sombra could do at that point. It was better to let yourself die. You weren't going to escape regardless. And while they are trying to get these pickoff staggers, Septic's DMAC just means they're not even going to attempt to push forward. The 250 damage is a lot, but Septic not having a mech either means that they either have to go into a fight without a mech, or they just have to let themselves die.
Now it looks like they're going to just try to go with a mechless fight here. The Bunny Blaster is very lethal when you need to be, but Okeanos has so many tools. They have both support ultimates online right now, and the Shad from Mecha King in his pocket if they need it. Look at all the space that they're being given just through that immortality field, and unfortunately, I think they were not pushed up as far as Tilted thought they were there.
They look like they wanted to aggress, but that Shatter's gonna come out, and it's gonna make sure they stay down as Megan finishes off Sombra. Septic tries to save this fight by using the Diva Bomb, but they're just gonna turn around and point a shield. The Blizzard gets committed, but the Sound Barrier is there to even it up. Joni has to try to back out because it looks like Aztecs are just being a bit cautious. The fight's still somewhat even because Aztecs are still able to respawn faster, but Archeanos really didn't lose too many people or anyone at all. Fireman's coming back from the spawn, so it's going to give Aztec some room to push in, but the fight's still somewhat going on as we see Photosynthesis using the window that Maywall going to be taking out Mecking. That's an unfortunate push because now Archeanos, they have to run, they have to back up if they want hopes to take another fight.
Dark Fox's Maywalls have consistently been very good in this map. This was the first time they managed to get like just the Rhine off of it, but I mean, it was extremely good, and now we see what a shatter from Sombra gets all the squishy members of Okeanos, and that should be Aztec Ruins taking point B here.
Oh, 100%! Arkeanos, they start running in because they panic. They want to touch point. The D.Va leaves them. And so Sombra says, alright, you don't have a shield with you. There's nothing I have to worry about. So I'm just going to get a free shatter off of you. And that's going to improve my KD.
Improve the KD, it does, as Aztec Ruins has 3 minutes on the clock here to try and finish this map. Dark Fox is going to engage with the Blizzard.
But the counter Blizzard's coming out from Fireman. Though Fireman is going to go down. We're going to be seeing Ethan take Dark Fox out as revenge, saving their friend. The window's going to be used, and that Shatter's going to be committed. It's going to manage to hit Okie Dokie inside the Immortality, just barely surviving. But they've lost too many people. Aztecs understanding that they're just going to retreat, give themselves some time, and really not waste their own time.
Nice counter Blizzard there from Fireman. Dark Fox has been incredibly good this map, but looks like Fireman has answered back. And man, these teams are unrelenting, Intel. It feels like every time I start talking, there's another fight beginning within 5 seconds.
Aztec love to set the momentum. Look at that, they push into Meki, who couldn't turn around. The D.Va Bomb is able to hit Jocko. Ethan is able to get photosynthesis, but I mean, Lucio healing right now is perfectly fine because they have nothing to worry about. There's not a Reinhardt, there is nothing of a Bastion or anyone with high damage, so they can wait for their Baptiste to come back.
Aztec Ruins are playing a very good, high-tempo brawl here. They are using the speed boost to perfection to just try and run over Okeanos, and uh-oh, that was a very early Immortality field from BIOS. They might want that back in a minute.
Yeah, they're gonna want that very much because... No, wait, Meki gets picked first and leaves him open to the Shatter. How does he just barely survive? Sombra, what are you doing? Just continuously pushing in. And now BIOS and the D.Va are the last people. Meki has to switch over to the ball to try to touch, but they're gonna be walled off. The Lucio is there. That's gonna give Meki some time to come down and slam. Or they're gonna be frozen and immediately melted. We now see the Doomfist coming out, looking to make the Chips a play, but just like Chips are going back to the spawn room as the Tracer and D.Va are now trying to do as much as they can. The Blizzard making sure to freeze them off just a tiny bit. The Immortality managing to save Ethan for a tiny bit. But the Sound Barrier really only hitting Jocko and Ethan, so that's not going to help out too much because Ethan's only at low HP. We see Meki return to the fight. They're getting these daggers, and the boom comes on to Okie Dokie off the map. Now they've lost one. This could be the momentum turnaround they're looking for, but the D.Va Bomb is there, and they just managed to push Fireman out of the fight a bit too far, and they're going to win all 3 points with 1 minute and 5 seconds.
That was looking a little scary there, and I feel like that, but Aztec Ruins are able to push through, and I feel like that has to go back to BIOS and that Immortality field. He used it in spawn. I think it was probably a fat finger, because, I mean, there was no reason to have an Immortality field that early, and when Okeanos pushed out after that, Mecha King got very low, very fast, got shattered. You would have loved to have the Immortality field available there. It's just such, probably the most powerful non-ultimate ability in the entire game. Only maybe rivaled by Rez. Just, it was just such an unfortunate mistake, and I think not having that is what eventually ended up snowballing to Aztec Ruins taking this first map. But you can't dwell on the past. 1 minute and 5 seconds on the clock. Respectable, but not necessarily incredible from Aztec Ruins. Okeanos, if they get on a roll, they could definitely match it or even beat it.
Now we're in a scenario where they have to play a bit, I guess, not cautious, but they need to not waste their time. If they want to capture all 3 points with a time bank, they're going to need to be able to win these fights. If they win with just 0, then it's just going to have Aztec needing to capture a tick. But if they at least get a second, this will open it up for Okeanos' victory.
Okeanos comes out with the traditional brawl. Once again, we're seeing the mirror matchup here. Okeanos is going to try and rotate around the statue and just try and win this in the neutral. Who's going to take advantage first, Intel?
I think it's Okeanos. Look at that. They're already rotating onto the point. They're taking that control while Aztec is just waiting. That Mei wall is going to come out. It's not going to split anyone, but it looks like Fireman's wall is. forces his own team to have to push back. Sectus Mech going down dangerously low. Fireman able to find out Tilted. Sombra is just continuously walking in. He's not worried about his health. He knows his support has his back, but everyone else on his team, they don't, because Sombra is just going to just continue walking and getting all the peel while everyone else is slowly being melted off. Fireman is going to be picked off by Sombra, and it looks like really all they need is the tank line. However, Joni's there with the window, is going to be able to do a majority of the damage. Septic now on 3 HP with the mech. The immortality is going to save them. That window did so much to even it out, because Sombra could have won if he just managed to live for a tiny bit longer.
Something that teams do a lot on Kings Row that I'm not fully understanding is not meeting teams at the statue on first point attack in a brawl mirror. These teams, they tend to just back up past the point, play behind hotel, and that gives the brawl, 1, control of the point, and 2, so many different angles to try and corner you in and just continue raining down damage from all sorts of places. And I think because of that, Okeanos were eventually able to pull ahead.
Bit unfortunate. Fireman places the wall, tries to rotate around it, but they break it so fast and manage to get some shots on him, just shuts them down. Now the ultimates are built, so they're just waiting for an even, clean fight. Arkeanos has the room, but it looks like Sombra's gonna just walk in and shatter! He doesn't understand the S key! As they continue walking in it, even investing the high noon just to make sure they sweep in. My goodness, I would not want Sombra in my comp games.
Oh my gosh, Sombra, you didn't even have to do that. You'd won the fight. You're just styling on him at this point. I mean, you'd already gotten like 2 kills. Okeanos, though, they have to break this very powerful chokehold push from Aztec Ruins, but I mean, look at all those check marks until 6 ultimates online. They can do it.
And Joni's gonna be able to eat Dark Fox's Blizzard while Fireman invests there. Is going to be trading this even like before. That Diva Bomb pushed back. He's going to get the stun onto Septic. Going to stop them from getting back their mech. Ethan now has the high noon and a free range to use it. There's going to be no one to stop it. Wow, Sombra's shield is so dangerously low. Arkeanos are going to be able to push and managing to finish off Dark Fox. Tilted is using the high noon to be able to help out Septic get back into their mech. But they're down some of their teammates. They are looking to do much, but Joni's going to shut them down, hitting that 2K bomb, and Septic's just going to be demeched in the back line.
Septic has been in the library demeched for like 30 seconds and finally manages to go down. Beautiful play from Joni, though. Ate the Blizzard from Dark Fox and then followed it up with a 2-man bomb to clean up the point. Very good stuff, but that was 4 ultimates used there from Okeanos. They have the High Noon and the Shatter online, but Sombra's coming up with a Shatter of his own, and we've seen that these Rhines are not afraid to be super aggressive with these ultimates.
Yeah, Ethan's just worried about the May wall. Has to cancel it out. Not enough time to just walk around it. Mecking does have the Shatter. It's him versus Sombra. He's gonna pop it out. Manage to hit the 2 in the back line. However, Sombra's gonna go for their back line. Both of them kind of are even. However, it looks like Arkeanos are just able to get more value out of it, pushing in. Now they shut down Sombra. There is nobody stopping them. They build up the Blizzard off of this fight. Same with the sound barrier. And they have a good, sizable time bait going into the last push.
About 4 minutes on the clock here for Okeanos. About a minute ahead, I think, of what Aztec Ruins was at to this point. However, Aztec Ruins on this defense, they have the Blizzard from Dark Fox, and Fireman has a Blizzard of his own. Both Lucio's coming up on beats. It's gonna, I think, come down to which team gets more value out of their mail here.
It looks like both of them are being able to push out of it. That window and sound barrier was able to kind of sustain them a tiny bit. Same with the May wall. But now Arkeanos has the opportunity to push in. They shut down Sombra and they have that immortality. So they're going to be just fine. And Joni's going to keep their mech. We see the May split off. Dark Fox is looking unfortunate. This is not a snowball, but they have continuously pushed this payload. No stopping.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, Okeanos are approaching the end of the map. Aztec Ruins has to get in there, but Tilted with the High Noon has found 2. Septi finds another. And, oh man, look at all those ultimates Aztec... I think Aztec just used 6 ultimates at once, Intel.
Wait, they did! The Shatter, the Diva, the Sound Barrier window. They just switched on to Hanzo, And
So it's 5. It's 5.
5, yes, but that's still insane. You have 2 minutes and 40 seconds to hold. Going up against a shattering Diva Bomb, that could be dangerous. They're already popping it out. Now they're using the speed boost to push in. It is going to shut down that immortality, but Dark Fox manages to get Joni with just a headshot. Dark Fox trying to get BIOS. It looks like he just needed some aim. Looks like they just needed some room because they're going to force back. I guess they don't really care about their ult economy at times. They can work off insurance.
Well, yeah, well, now Dark Fox is sort of positioned up on this high ground and does not have a care in the world. No one from Okeanos is really looking at him. And when you have this sort of high ground vantage point on Hanzo, you can do tons of damage, like how he got onto Joni when he was trying to get back into his mech. So now a minute off the clock, and Aztec Ruins has a couple more ults coming up, including the High Noon and the Ant Matrix.
I definitely agree. Look at them pushing in. Mecking is able to get Sombra. Dark Fox is not going to be there to help peel out for the team. So now this is somewhat in a stall phase. They've lost their majority of the people who could stay there. Lucio does manage to find out Jonin, and Tilted gets out Ethan. So the ball comes back. That's going to help them stall and get a lot of boot kills. Tilted making sure, but Jocko is just hiding behind them a little bit. Just trying to get them to kill him, but he's not resetting fast enough, so he's going to take a couple seconds. But now their good timing has entered into a kind of even form. They're gonna have to win this next fight if they want any chance to capture the point with at least a minute.
Yeah, at this point, I can't imagine Okeanos finishing this map with more time than Aztec Ruins. They've done a beautiful job just hanging on the very edge of the point. Every time it looks like Okeanos has an advantage, a couple more ultimates come out of Aztec Ruins to turn it.
Yeah, Joni's gonna be popping in. They're gonna use that sound barrier, start pushing in. They're looking to pick off a target. Dark Fox is able to pop out the dragons. It's not gonna be eaten fast enough. Samson gets Joni with the boop, and it's somewhat of an even fight. However, Mecking is now gone. Fireman evens it up by finding out photosynthesis. So now Dark Fox is gonna be picked off. The Diva Bomb placed on the point. Jocko hides from it, but Ethan, his cowboy hat's not big enough, and it looks like Jocko's the last one to touch point. But once again, they don't have enough. They switch on the ball to try to stall, but it looks like Okie Dokie has it all. Look at that Rhymes. I've got it all the time because they're pushing them back. Even the window used last second is not going to be enough. They have less than 20 seconds to go into this next fight, and they have ultimates to attempt.
Yeah, and look at Aztec Ruins' comp. They have a Doomfist, a Wrecking Ball, a Tracer. They've swapped on the stall picks to try and get back onto the point as soon as possible, which is all well and good, but how are they going to deal with this Shatter from Mecha King? There's no shields. How are they going to deal with the Blizzard? It's going to be so difficult here.
Well, I guess they just have to. Look at that sound barrier being used while the Blizzard hits them. Dark Force is going to be stuck inside of a room, not going to be able to escape on the Doomfist. Ethan now has the High Noon, is looking to find a target, but it's going to be eaten. They're not going to be able to get much. Saptic now gets Steam Mac during the middle of the fight, and they're looking to freeze off that ball. Sombra's dangerously low and going to be booped so far off. However, it's not that big a deal as you think, because they may capture, but they capture with no time. So it's going to be Aztec's attack, and they only need a tick.
Just one tick needed for Aztec Ruins, a minute and 5 seconds on the clock, which means, I mean, we're looking at one really good fight, maybe two for Aztec. But when it has come to this, these neutral brawl fights, Aztec Ruins has seemed to come out on top slightly more often than Okeanos. But it's been really even, Intel. It's been going back and forth this whole time. And I honestly can't tell you who I think will probably be coming out on top in this pivotal moment here in this match. Both teams currently locking the mirror matchups. Of course, that is how this map is going to end.
Definitely a great, somewhat in an even trade. Sombra is like pure aggression combined with his team's understanding of his playstyle. They enable him to get a lot of value and give Tilted that space. So that's how they won a fight to win first point. But Arkeana, they just have the right and the feelings of just pressing W sometimes to be able to move in. They're going to have to either play defensively or look to play aggressively to be able to push against them. Either match them or, I guess, play better than them.
Yeah, and now Aztec Ruins with a minute and 5 seconds on the clock, playing for the win. Okeanos playing for the draw here as they come out. They're going to take the quick fight to point. They're going to try and take this as quickly as possible.
That already pushing out the immortality gets used. It looks like Sombra's dangerously low, not going to have the shielding because Mecking is just going to continuously go through it. And we see they're already losing this fight. Luckily, it was so fast and they're dying so quickly. They're going to be having another one in the time bank.
yeah, so this was a very quick fight, which means Aztec Ruins does have enough time to set up one more fight. Septi, though, is forced to go back to spawn and swap to make sure he gets a mech back, so that is going to reset that ult bank. As far as ults coming up soon, Photosynthesis and Bios will probably both have Ant Matrixes, and Ethan will have the High Noon very, very soon.
Oh, look at that. They're pushing in. They're starting to get a take, but immediately Arcanos has to touch a point. They use the window. It's gone, but the Shatter's able to hit them. They manage to freeze out Sombra, and Photosynthesis gets picked off. They have little healing. They have to attempt to make something happen, but the sound barrier's there from Jocko. How about Arcanos? It looks like they're getting the final picks. It looks like they're being able to even it up, and nobody's left on the point besides Lucio, and he has nothing much. It looks like Arcanos. It was what I feared. A draw. Not giving them a point, but not ending the series anytime soon.
Okeanos came up huge in that last fight. In the end, their fight win in the first fight there meant that their ultimates came up just a little bit faster than Aztec did. They had the first beat, they had the first High Noon as well, and that ended up being too much for Aztec to deal with when it all came down to it. And with that, so much has happened, and yet nothing at all. The score still stands 1-0 in favor of Aztec as we move on to, I believe it is going to be Okeanos' map pick once more.
I'm not gonna lie to you. This is I'm seeing some very vivid images in my brain right now of this going to a map 6 or beyond. But if you want to know that, you'll have to come back. We're gonna go to a quick break, so stay tuned with this match. No ad around this time. We know you want to get straight back into the game because we are here to continue casting Aztec Ruin versus Arcanos, Mr. Dividing. We're going to Rialto next. And how do you feel about this upcoming map?
I think it makes a lot of sense, considering Okeanos did get the map pick once again, I believe, as the last map of King's Row ended in a draw, but Rialto built very similarly to King's Row, in which it has a lot of very tight corners, tight corridors, which lends itself to a brawl-y play style. And I think that this is, I mean, we saw this a lot on Ilios as well. This is what both teams are comfortable with, so I think we gotta buckle ourselves up, Intel, because I think for the most part we're going to be in for a good old-fashioned brawl-off here in these intermediate grand finals.
I would like to beg to differ, okay? I have sat too many games seeing people run Ball Sigma to not think that one of these teams is going to attempt to run Dive. For some reason, it is semi-popular, and I think that's because there is a decent amount of high ground control on both first and second point, and you can get away with it. You're enabled to play it.
It's definitely possible, and I think if Okeanos has that that strategy in their pockets, they could definitely bring it out. However, you know, we've been here for 2 maps so far. I haven't seen that yet. It would be new, is what I'm saying, but definitely not impossible for either of these teams to decide, you know what, let's just try something a little different. And Okeanos, they might just need that little bit of something different here to even up this series on Rialto.
Hey, it's like going to a store and trying out something you never had before. Be surprised if you like it. But either way, it might be enjoyable. But that's what I'm hoping to see. Rialto is one of my favorite maps within not only Escort, but in Overwatch. I think it's one of those maps that Blizzard got a bit right. And I think solely it could be given to how easy it can be fool-held by making big mistakes on first point. You could really be punished if you're not focusing.
Yeah, you know, you think back to Overwatch League, it feels like so many iconic moments in the recent seasons have happened on Rialto. The what comes to mind is the San Francisco Shock C9ing in Game 7 of the playoffs, Season 2, Season 3, beautiful game between the Paris Eternal and the Philadelphia Fusion. That game was incredible. I think Rialto ends up being a map where so many decisive moments happen in Overwatch history. And you know, who knows, maybe we'll see something similar coming up in just a couple of minutes.
I definitely see. We're giving these teams time because they have to go in fighting hard. That's going to take a bit of mental preparation, if I do say so. You don't want them to go in and then instantly they're a little upset. It's going to be a bit of a challenge in all things regard. But, you know, my money is Aztec. They're going to be the team to run something different. However, I do kind of want to explain the scenario we're in, because we're in a draw. So, for people who don't understand, now that we're in a draw, this opens it up to still end. It can possibly end on a 2CP map, or that 2CP can draw, and then we just go to, what would that be, map 7, map 6?
We could go to 7 maps if they draw 2CP as well.
Yeah, now think about what we have to deal with. You think Overwatch is bad, you imagine having to cast through 7 maps because the teams are so good that they decide to draw, right? Sometimes, can't you just hope for a bit of domination?
You know, casting 7 maps in a row is one thing. Imagine playing 7 maps in a row.
Oh my goodness, these players are going to be mentally, physically, possibly emotionally drained. Especially on Father's Day, you gotta give them credit. Make sure to give your father a bit of love, and if you don't have a father figure in your life, it's okay, I will be that one.
Intel will be your dad, everybody.
No. T.
Sorry, what? Sorry, what?
I said T. Say it, dividing.
Intel will be your T?
Yeah, you'll get it when you're older. Either way.
I don't know what he's talking about, chat.
No worries. Chat gets it. Wink, wink. Either way, we're gonna be seeing Archeanos run out. They want to play that brawl. They seem to feel comfortable in it, and they didn't look half bad on it on King's Row.
Yeah, Aztec Ruins, they have time to swap off of it, but Dark Fox currently showing the Hanzo, which is a very interesting sort of, I assume, trying to counter Okeanos, which will probably be playing on, might be playing on high grounds. This does, however, force Aztec Ruins to be playing this a little bit slower, because the win condition for this kind of comp is to whittle down the enemy team's shields and win from there. But look at this super close hold that Okeanos is doing right now.
They're preparing to just play through it. They know to their strengths, and they are just looking to stop they're looking to stop Aztec from trying to move this payload as far as they can, but Septic manages to get meching with the boot kill. I've never seen a D.Va actively get a Reinhardt with it on that point, but hey, I'm open to new experiences. Jocko is looking to stall this out, but it looks like you don't really want to face Aztec when it comes to any form of aggression. They just know how to play their pace.
What a beautiful play from Septi there. I mean, the boop that D.Va gives people when she runs into someone with her boosters is one of the most least utilized boops in the game, and Reinhardt as a character that has knockback resistance. So having that is just so... having that happen is so huge. No main tank obviously means the fight just kind of falls apart for Okeanos.
Look at them already preparing into the next one. They're putting in a lot of poke. That immortality, but the D.Va mech is gone. The Shatter still free as it's able to hit side. The backline photosynthesis is going to be picked off, but Mecking leaves himself open. Jocko and Fireman are going to be the casualties in that war, and Tilted's going to help finishing it out. Aztecs, my goodness, they know how to play their pace, or at least Archeanos are just moving a bit too fast.
Dark Fox is the first DPS player on the field to reach his ultimate, and for good reason. This dude has been sitting up on the high ground, popping shots all over the place. Barely has been dealt with at all by Okeanos. And with that and a couple of nice stagger kills, Okeanos is going to go ahead and just roll right through first point. Now, Okeanos really has to figure out a way to respond to this. They have pretty much every ult except for the Shatter online coming up soon. Aztec, though, has 4 ultimates of their own as they begin to brawl in this window.
Already taking the high ground, that window, and the fact that Mecking just pushing in. They're going to immediately melt down Sombra. Now they have control of this area. They have the high ground. It allows Ethan to take some free pot shots, even if Dark Fox is able to get bios. And Fireman, it looks like Ethan is just going to go on the flank, get some help from Jonin, and they're going to be able to push them back. However, Aztecs, they're not done. They don't need DPS to push in a fight. They're continuously going to move in. So Ethan uses the high noon, trying to slow them down. The immortality's there and the shield to help protect them out. Just look at them continuously moving forward. They're not scared of anything. Archeanos are the one with the advantage, but because they don't have their Mei, they're too scared to walk in to use the Blizzard. Now coming back into it, it's a preparation time. That window gets used, they're looking to pop it out. The Shatter goes through, managed to hit the shield. Looks like Sombra's going to be melted down. The sound barrier only able to do so much as Ethan is just pushing them in. Honestly, I was going to say a bit questionable moving back to give up that space, but they didn't have anything to worry about, I guess.
Some nice cleanup kills coming out from Jocko, and Okeanos manages to win that fight in the end with just the Blizzard, which is absolutely massive for the overall ultimate economy. Look at all those check marks for Okeanos. Everything except the Blizzard is going to be up coming on to this next fight. Aztec Ruins. Now they've got to push into an Okeanos team that has high ground control, which is super scary. So many Rialto pushes end right here on this choke point because of the high ground control that the defending team has.
You see Dark Fox playing a very aggressive flank, trying to build up those dragons. Bios is able to help melt down Sombra, but Dark Fox is coming close to that dragons, and they're playing in a very dangerous horizontal tango, if I do say so. Argiano's still building up. They have around 4 ultimates, and they're going to shut down Dark Fox. They're not really needing to commit much, winning these fights off of one at a time, and that helps.
Aztec has been playing at a breakneck pace this entire game so far. It feels like they are trying to squeeze in a fight every 20 seconds, but right now I think that pace is getting to them a little bit and causing mistakes. Sombra has been going down early very quickly because I think goes a little bit too aggressive, gets caught out from the rest of the team. There's a lot of damage coming out from Okeanos. I think they just really need to take a breath.
Yeah, just take your time and breathe. I promise it's not going anywhere. Joni able to get the mech kill onto photosynthesis while Sombra evens it up getting meching. They still have the room to move in, especially with Tilted alive. Meching being gone may cost them as they're just having to play a bit more back. Photosynthesis is gone if we remember, so they have less healing. Septic returning into the fight. Tilted's just looking for some angles, and they're able to start getting some picks. They managed to get Jocko and Fireman, so the Reinhardt doesn't really have his main team. Bios also gets picks, so that's even less healing. They're just going to give up this point for free because they don't have much to force out a check, at least to just make themselves respawn faster. We are going to see Mecking and Joni just pop out so they can die.
And now, we see the flip side, Okeanos being a little bit too passive there. They had 5 ultimates going into that fight, or pretty close to it. The only ultimate they actually used, though, was the Diva Bomb. They really probably could have used more to try and push through the rest of the fight, but they didn't. And now they're in this situation where Aztec now has the momentum.
Yeah, but Ethan's gonna use the High Noon, be able to get out Okie Dokie. They do pop the Shatter. They're able to, Photosynthesis is able to get out Meching. Jocko and Ethan are looking to even it up, but Jocko and Fireman are gonna be treated out in regardless. So now they just have to push out. Looks like Aztec were just saving their ultimates so they can use a majority of them and one go, as well as Tilted switching right over to the Tracer to be able to touch this point faster. We're in a quick stall time bank, and they lost Bios really early in this fight. That's going to be a huge issue, but they have to touch. We're going to be seeing Mecking now pushing out. They use the sound barrier to help sustain. The Immortality comes out. Fireman now has the Blizzard. He can pop it out and end this fight. Jocko finishing off his counterpart. Same with Mecha King. And it looks like they're going to be giving themselves at least one more attempt to try to push this point.
Luckily, the engagement beat was enough to dissuade the Aztec Ruins, push of Aztec Ruins. But now we move into the next fight. 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the clock, and Aztec Ruins, I mean, with how fast Pulse Bomb builds up, it is reasonable to think that they will have all 6 ultimates on the board. Silver lining for Okeanos, they're able to win without using the Shatter or the Blizzard, so they do have those tools available to them.
And they're going to be pushing in. We already see that Dragons from Dark Fox being placed in the middle. However, they're just going to start pushing in. The sound barrier, it can only last for so long. Trying to help out. Tilted able to finish off Mecking. Dark Fox being able to back out from that fight. Aseptic is managing to find out Ethan. They now have room to push this point. They're in a stall phase at this moment. Mecking can come back with the Shatter. And Jonan is going to be using that Diva Bomb, hopefully trying to even things out. The remake kill is not going to be possible because Jonan's just going to be melted down. The Reinhardt's the last person going to be touching. Is looking to charge out. Isn't able to find a pick. And isn't able to get out the Shatter fast enough. Now Moira and Creed try, but it looks like Aztecs are able to capture with 38 seconds.
Aztec got 6 ults, and they used 6 ults, and that is a way to win a fight in Overwatch, Intel.
My goodness, I couldn't have said it better myself. Now this is kind of similar
That'll
to King's
be
Row.
$100 for that analysis lesson.
Exactly. Wait, what?
Yeah, $100.
If I don't get paid for hosting your league, I'm not getting paid while doing this. We're now back in the scenario where Arkeanos, they have to kind of capture all 3 points if they want a chance of winning. However, unlike Hybrid, if they manage to capture all 3 points, they get an extra minute no matter the time bank to try to push.
Yeah, absolutely. But they have to capture all 3 points first. Both teams currently walking the brawl comms that we all know and love. But Aztec, I'll be interested to see if Dark Fox is going to switch onto this Reaper. You lose a utility that you would get from the Mei, but you get a bunch of close range damage, and that seems to make sense because Aztec Ruin seems to want to return the favor and go for a super close hold here. If Mecha King stays on this Winston, which I doubt, but if he does, I mean, he's gonna have such a bad time right now. Look at them; they're being so sneaky. They're being so sneaky.
They're quietly waiting for their chance to shine. It looks like they have nothing to fear as they're just pushing out right now. They are playing underneath, so the line of sight, but it looks like they run with the Pharah. Fireman has free reign. Tilted is going to be able to get Ethan, and now Aztecs are saying, uh-oh, how did they know that we were going to do the thing everyone does? Now we have to play underneath and wait for them to come to us, but they're not coming. Fireman also able to find out Okie Dokie. They're now lost with 2 people. They're just taking the initial poke. Becking's just going to stand on point, force them to go into an unfavorable position, but Tilted is able to find out Bios, so now at least they don't have that much healing. Now pushing in, Fireman still looking for that pick. Looks like Tilted's going to be able to catch that fly out of the sky, and that immortality is going to be able to be picked off. Tilted's still dangerously low. He's going to be able to escape because Ethan had to reload, but now Aztec are going to be giving Arkeanos some room to play the game, but they managed to build up 91% of their BAP ult. That was a massive value gained.
Yeah, I mean, we're going straight into it now they're playing so close, and Fireman already 80% to the barrage, showing that poke that is doing, honestly, just so much damage on the side of Okeanos. But when it comes to just sticking on to the point, Aztec Ruins' comp is just so much better for that, and that's why even when we get the first picks, we see Okeanos struggling to keep control of the cart for a very long time.
Yeah, I agree. We do see Septic managing to find out the Diva Jocko, and now Sombra is just on the point, has to back up, got dangerously low. The High Noon being used, able to find out Ethan, but the Far's still high in the sky, waiting to just find him lacking. However, it looks like Tilted's just not really worried. Tilted's just kind of tilting on the angles, and they are able to get the res, but the fight's somewhat being pushed back. We see the Pharah now moving in, playing aggressive, not trying to worry about their health. Uses the barrage, it's gonna be eaten, but the flashbang gets eaten in return. Interesting enough, Fireman being able to escape from that fight. The Diva Bomb goes out, Darkseid able to get bios, but either way, they still have to make something happen. Joni does have the Diva Bomb. They may be able to use it. The Sound Barrier comes out, but I think I saw the animation, but it didn't get really used. I think Okie Dokie ends up getting Ajax, not being able to pop it out. Septic now dangerously low. They're in a scenario where they need to hurry up and finish these people off because Joni's still alive. The Reaper comes back, but they're already gone.
Yeah, but Aztec are doing such a good job right now of just wasting Okeanos' time. That fight was pretty much won from Okeanos from the very beginning. They got 2 of the first picks in a row, but that fight still went for a solid, minute and a half before Okeanos are finally able to get consistent point push, which means now Aztec Ruins has another fight before first point is over, and they have the Death Blossom.
That they're now trying to push in. Joni able to get that 2K though, while Fireman is able to pick off Sombra. They need to make something happen because in the end, it looks like Arkeanos are gonna use that Bob to be able to start picking off any stragglers. Dark Fox can only do so much, and Arkeanos keeping their hopes alive, capturing the point.
Yeah, Okeanos managed to take it. 3 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. I'm interested to see how long they're going to stick on this comp. The long-range DPS definitely helps them a lot on point A, but I think they're going to have a lot more trouble here on point B, where Okeanos really has a lot easier access to the high ground than they do.
I agree. Now we're seeing them push in. They're playing kind of in a poke angle. Photosynthesis using the window to find somebody. It manages to get out Jocko. Has to use the immortality to save himself, unfortunately enough, so they're not going to be having for the upcoming fight. But Dark Fox is inside the backline. The Shatter is completely free when you're on the ground. That monkey doesn't have the bubble, so it looks like they're going to be able to clean this fight up very quickly.
Beautiful shatter there from Sombra, identifying the only real thing that he has to worry about is the monkey bubble. You get rid of that, and there's nothing in the way to just completely destroy the more squishy members of the Okeanos pipeline. And Tilted getting a nice high noon kill onto Jocko is just going to end that fight right there and then. The clock is going to dip below 2 minutes, and Okeanos is having so much trouble trying to deal with this high ground hold that Aztec has right now. More like a high ground headlock right now. Okeanos just can't shake it.
It's so unfortunate that we just saw the Mercy get picked, because Jocko dying first means they have less healing, no res, as well as the far Mercy's doomed. The Nano does go out on the monkey. He's going to be comboing it with the Primal, looking to force out Photosynthesis, making them in an angle. They are just so far out of the fight that they're not even going to get any peel. Same with Dark Fox as they just move in. Tilted able to find out Mecha King inside the back, but now Archeanos are going to be able to start moving in, finding the space that they want.
Great disruption there from Mecha King, taking Photosynthesis out of the fight early with the juggle and then the finishing blow. Now Okeanos is able to move past this little chokehold here, which means now the Pharah and the Ashe have so much more room, so many more angles to work, and both of them have their ults.
Look at them getting set up. They managed to get a sleep and then eventually clean off Dark Fox. Now they're just pushing in Septic, and Tilted still trying to even up this fight. They want to make sure they have the advantage. A massive anti able to hit out Sombra and Septic. Now he has less healing, and this Bios is looking to get some pot shots in. They use the window that's going to be able to put in some extra damage / healing. Tilted does have the high noon, can slow down this fight or finish it off. We see the monkey inside the backline, and Ethan is going to get Fire Strike and end up dying. Now they have a minute. The Shatter as well comes out. Bit of an overinvestment, but they want to secure the team fight as much as they can. They now have less than 30 seconds to win, while Archeanos has the barrage.
30 seconds.
Yeah, this is final fight right here. Okeanos has stuck on this comp the whole time. They are sure that it is going to bring them to victory, but pretty much all they're going to have here is a barrage. If they manage to lengthen this fight, Bios will also probably get his nano boost, but it's not there yet, and they're playing into the high noon, the Diva Bomb, the beat. So many different ways for Aztec to just make sure that Okeanos cannot exist on the point. They have to touch. There's 5 seconds left on the clock.
They get tilted. Jocko, they lose their main DPS. Sombra and Septic able to start finishing it out, while Bios is far inside the backline. They able to use the Nano onto Mecha King. Fireman switching over to the Echo to hopefully come back a tiny bit faster, but Sombra, his hammer is so massive. She's able to start hitting people with it and ending their lives. Fireman's not even going to be able to touch, as we see the Lucio just barely try to hold it in their fate. The ball returns in. They want to win this point, but in the end, it's not going to be a repeat of King's Road, because Aztec wants to end this as fast as possible to make sure they can go on to GCB, because they're gonna win Rialto.
Aztec goes up 2-0 in the series. Okeanos put all of their chips on the high-powered DPS combo of Pharah and Ashe, and it looked a couple times like it might actually be paying off, but in the end, the brawl come from Aztec was too sturdy to break through.
My goodness. I think Aztec are doing an amazing job. They played their pace when they came to that composition. The monkey with the Pharah was honestly not a bad pick, but Aztecs, they never overcommitted to the fight. They stood, they played natural cover, and the Pharah couldn't play those aggressive angles without having that McCree. Luckily, Aztec have McCree that's consistently able to hit that Pharah, so there was just nothing they could do. They got wary, and eventually that time bank runs out. You don't have enough fights. Now Archeanos has to try to make their comeback on a 2CP map, and that's hard to do. 2CP is the most hated game mode inside the game. We're moving into the next one. I don't know what Archeanos can do besides pat themselves on the head, try to pump themselves up, and get ready.
Yeah, get ready for, I mean, you gotta dig yourself out of a hole now if you're Okeanos. 2-0, you cannot drop another one. You can technically tie this map, but after that, There is no more room for error. And once again, this is the GitGud Grand Finals Championship on the line. Aztec Ruins can taste it. The number 8 seed now on the verge of being number 1. But they aren't there yet. They are still going to have to win one more map. Their next chance to end it is going to come on Volskaya, Intel.
Ooh, Volskaya Industries is, I guess, one of the most favorable TCP maps. I mean, there's like Temple and then Hanamura, and nobody wants to play Hanamura. So I think the thing about Volskaya is that is an amazing comp for how Arkeanos wanted to play Rialto. They have room to play the Pharah with the Monkey, but Brawl's going to be able to rotate around. This is somewhat of a fair first fight. And it's going to take a lot of preparation and planning to kind of, I guess, work against it.
Yeah, first point, Volskaya. There's a lot of open range, open ceilings. So a lot of room for snipers and flying DPS players to work. So if Okeanos wants to try and go with the same comp that they played in Rialto, this is probably one of the best 2CP maps to do it. That being said, also a very good brawl map, as most maps tend to be. So Aztec Ruins are also probably pretty comfortable. Worth mentioning, both teams did list Volskaya as their favorite 2CP map in the game.
That means they both practice it. I'm not too surprised if Arkeanos is either desperate enough or his Aztec is toxic enough to just run a Bastion comp, just try to teleport around with the Symmetra, and you just sit there, you just kind of watch them easily. But Volskaya, I think the dangers about 2CP is, as we talked about, this could be another draw. But Aztec, if they capture with time, just like they did on King's Row, or just like they did on Control or whatever, they have an opportunity to just need a tick to win. Arkeanos are good on the defense, but they need to kind of space themselves, not force things out, play patient. They are good when it comes to playing the aggression, but they're a bit over aggressive at times. While Aztec, I don't know how they're just able to get away with it.
Yeah, Aztec are just super good at playing this ultra aggressive brawl comp. I mean, we've been seeing it for the past 4 maps now, or no, just 3 maps now, where Aztec just plays this super fast-paced style. They are so good at getting ready and using the speed boost to engage in record pace. I often feel like I never have time to fully analyze a fight before a new one is beginning when Aztec is on the attack. And this pace, Okeanos is definitely not ones to shy away from a Brawl v Brawl, but I think they're having some trouble dealing with this aggressiveness that Aztec Ruins is bringing out right now.
I definitely agree. Most of these fights we're talking about, well, we're not able really to discuss or explain how something happened or why a person won. Most of it is all kind of individual play at times, a lot of teamwork being used. It's just kind of how Overwatch works. And that's going to matter a lot more when we start to enter into Volskaya. We're just giving these teams to breathe. Arkeanos, you have the opportunity. We believe in you. Well, I believe in you. I don't know about Mr. Dividing.
I believe in them. Just, you gotta start here. You gotta start here. There's no more excuses after this map. Like I mentioned at the beginning, have not scrimmed for a month. Maybe regretting that a little bit right now, but past is in the past. You can only focus on the present, and the present is right here, right now on Volskaya. Aztec Ruins are just one map away from becoming your GitGud Season 7 Intermediate EU Division champions.
I don't know what you mean. Who needs scrims nowadays?
I would say most people.
I mean, fair. That's true. But we're seeing them prepare in already. Arkeanos are gonna be the one on attack, and we are gonna be seeing them run out on dive. I like what they're running. Gives them mobility, gives them room to run around, and they don't have to worry about protecting the mega health pack room.
Yeah, very true. Okeanos is going with a very mobile comp. Bios, we see, on the Ana. We've seen it be a little bit hit or miss for this flex support player. Sometimes providing tons of value with the sleeps, sometimes being the main dive target and picked off early. So But they are going to commit to this on a pick and run it until the bitter end, or, you know, maybe the incredible end here. Aztec Ruins, for their part, are going to be coming out on a double bubble comp, so both these teams are looking to play a very slow style, and I'm going to be looking at Fireman versus Dark Fox, both of them on Echo, in a bit of a sky battle here.
And they're pushing in. Both of the Echoes doing a good amount of damage with those stickies. Kind of a very overpowered ability when it comes to Echo's kit, but that's not for me to tell. We do see them rotating around. Sombra is getting prepared. They're already meeting back in, using that bubble. Okie dokie go down dangerously low, but it looks like Tilted's going to be the first one back into the spawn room. Dark Fox is going to be picked off. They are just barely being able to survive, but there's so much damage poking in that they immediately have to start a retreat, and they're not going to be able to play through this one room. Look at that, Mecking also able to pick off Okie dokie. The Anish is trying to keep up the tanks as much as possible, but now they're blocking out their exit. Just look at how immediately they're aggressing onto Aztec the moment they try to disengage. The Monkey even trying to block out their exit route. Mecha King going down dangerously low, but is going to be perfectly fine. Somehow Aztecs not even worried they're going to be able to retreat, even though their team is now somewhat split. We see them now push in, where they're looking to find some good value off this fight, but Mecking, wait a minute, asleep. Sombra got slept. Joni's dangerously low. The Valve comes out. Bios is going to be picked off by Septic. Mecha King is Nano going after the break, but the rest of his team is going to get slept while he jumps. That's a bit unfortunate, as we see Fireman be able to pick off Septic. Now the Monkey's going down dangerously low. That beam's going to be coming up. Fireman now has the copy. He's going to be able to survive and help out this fight a tiny bit more. B10 is gone, but it's going to be helping out to end off. Okie dokie. Now it's Tilted. The man, we see Fireman have the Primal, going to be popping it out, looking for that Ana. They are going to look to get a tick, but they've lost their support. But Fireman jumps off the map by accident. May have overestimated the Monkey Primal jump. That's why you scrim. That's why you practice a little. However, they still have room to win. Sombra does have the Primal Rage, and they're looking to finish off this Ana. They're looking to just stop them from healing and stop them from having room to come back. The Bob returns. That's going to give them room. It does get booped, but it's still in a favorable position, just barely alive on the mat. However, we do see Aztecs. They're just going to continue moving in. They're going to be looking to finish off. Even the Pulse Bomb helping to demech Joni, as well as they're just going to move in. Looks like it looks like they are going to do their best. However, Aztec are just going to continue moving forward.
Wow, that was impressive intel. I must say, I'm out of breath, and I wasn't even saying that. So you just pretty much casted 2 fights in a row, because once again, Aztec have just this, even on Double Bubble, a comp that's supposed to be played a lot slower, has this super quick pace. But that does get in the way of Tilted here. Ethan, currently on Ashe, there isn't much that Aztec Ruins can do to counter this Ashe, who's just sitting there in the back with an Ana pocket and no cares in the world, just clicking heads left and right. You saw at the beginning of that fight, Sombra actually jumped in with the Nano to try and deal with it and got slept instantly. So now, picking up the Tracer early is going to take away the Snowball, but Aztec Ruins are going to be pushing in with the duplicate back up, with Grav, as well as both support ultimates. Okeanos, though, have pretty much every ultimate except Bob coming up soon.
They set up, they get the anti onto Mecha King, but Dark Fox is going to be the first one out of the fight. Fireman is down dangerously low. The remake coming out, the Graviton Surge helping to help pick off targets, but they don't have the Pulse Bomb to combo with it. Mecha King also uses the Primal Range, is going to be able to sustain. Tilted builds off the Pulse Bomb with it, but Photosynthesis is gone. They don't have sustain overall for this fight. We do see Sombra and Septic looking to make it even. They do have the Mercy still alive, but Jocko's just going to be melted down, immediately focused. And even if they have no supports, they don't really need healing if they just don't die. Look at that, 2 ticks already saved into the fight. We do see Tilted get Fireman with the Pulse Bomb, and what looked to be a bit scary, because in 2CP, if you lose your supports first, you often lose. Aztec's not scared of anything.
Sombra is just such a Chad on this main tank. It's absolutely insane. I have not seen this guy show even a little bit of fear, a little bit of caution. He just jumps in on Reinhardt, on Winston, no matter what he's playing, and it just expects, or not even expects, knows that his team will be there to back him up. That is the mentality of the Kingslayers that Aztec Ruins are, the winners bracket finalists here. You see that confidence that has led them up to this point. So now with 2 minutes left, almost 3 minutes left on the clock for Aztec Ruins, a pretty fast time here for Volskaya. The pressure now falls on Okeanos. They have to finish this map, hopefully with a comparable or even greater time than Aztec Ruins, or else, I mean, their GitGud tournament lives are on the line here until they are on the brink of going home as the second place team, or as some people like to call them, the first losers.
Wow, really had to just kind of rub salt in the wound, rub dirt in the infection. Arkeanos, they're going to have to run out on this dive, while Aztec are running out on Double Bubble. I haven't seen Double Bubble run with the legs or Soldier 76, and that's kind of interesting. It does give them more ability with the double hit scan, but I don't know how well that'll do in the long term.
They're playing so far back, Aztec Ruins, and I think that's because they're expecting to see a sort of dive comp coming out from Okeanos, which is what happens with the long-range hit scans of Ethan and Fireman still coming out on the Echo and Ash. And with that, I mean, they have to hard commit now to this back corner. And
they really do. Sombra, however, is going to be picked off. Joni able to get off Septic as well. Dark Fox is looking to make it even. Is able to get out Ethan with that fight, but now they have control of the point. Ethan's just going to get reds and say, try again. I'm just going to shoot back at you. Able to hit that dynamite already. Able to get 2 ticked. Looks like Aztec, they need to touch the point. They need to do something. It looks like that monkey's going to be jumping off. Bios able to start picking off people as well as Arkeanos. My goodness, 2CP must be their favorite map as they have less than 6 minutes to try to capture.
6 minutes for Okeanos. What a beautifully executed dive on the back corner there. Aztec Ruins were just trying to make sure they could play as much anti-dive as possible to try and force Okeanos into an uncomfortable situation, but they were more than ready. And look at this, even with that, Bios has the nano boost way before photosynthesis does, so they absolutely have the advantage here as Mecha King jumps in with the nano.
Look at them moving in. Mecha King just trying to find out. Sombra pushes in. Tilted has the visor, but isn't able to get much value off it. Sombra ends up getting melted down. Mecha King being anti, but he's still going to move in. That's kind of dangerous, but the Primal Rage, that's the reason why you do it. Able to get 2 with it. Same with Tilted, not having enough healings. Able to get shot down by Joni. Oh my goodness, Arkeanos looks so good right now. I'm guessing they want to go 6-6. The time being is going to move down. Arkeanos have 4 minutes to try to capture compared to Aztec's 2.
I mean, that was just a beautiful attack. I just sang Sombra's praises, but I have to give a shout out to Mecha King there. Beautifully coordinated dives coming out from Okeanos in that fight, and all of it headed up by that Winston, just causing so much disruption, so much taking up the attention of so many members of Aztec and getting away with it with his life. And a solid, like, I think 3 or maybe even 4K in that second fight. So a blazing fast time now for Okeanos, where all of a sudden they have the heavy advantage going into extra innings. Now the pressure back onto Aztec. They have to, they want to try and end this right here, right now, go home early, but they are currently in a situation where Okeanos has double the time that they do. Currently locking in a more close to mid-range comp with the Tracer and the McCree. Be interested to see if Sombra goes with Winston or something else.
Yeah, I'm
It'll
not
be
gonna
Winston.
Well, Aztec ran something kind of risky. The legs just wasn't getting that much value. I definitely think they still have room to win this, but they need to hold that win condition. What do you want? Do you want to be able to capture all 2 points, or just only capture the first? This is what we'll see.
Yeah, as Okeanos is playing a little bit further up here, gonna try and meet Aztec at the choke point. As though that does play a little bit more into Aztec's hands here, as Dark Fox and Tilted are gonna be looking to try and melt down Mecha King. Is going to back up a little bit though, wisely in my opinion. As Aztec, they are going to rotate around here, and this is where the engage truly begins.
Yep, they're moving back in. Mecha is going to be anti, so he can't overstay his welcome. Immediately rotating out. Tilted pushes in. It's going to allow them to make some space because they're overly worried. And he manages to get Bio, who just wasn't a bit protected. Ethan does trade up, getting tilted. Sombra finds Jocko. Now we see the Zarya down on the point, being able to touch. Joni's looking to go inside that high ground, but the boosters aren't enough, especially with the Brig just slamming down on you. They're able to capture the first point much cleaner than before, but now it matters most when it comes to the last point.
Beautiful play coming up from Photosynthesis there. I do have to call out the flex support every time Mecha King tried to jump in on Aztec Ruins' engages. He got an anti-nade to the face, and that forced him to play a lot more passively than I think he wanted to. Now a minute on the clock here for Aztec to try and bring us to 4 points total in this Volskaya. They have the Nano Boost, they have the High Noon, they will have the Pulse Bomb, and the Primal Rage coming up very soon.
Oh my goodness, Dark Fox able to find Jocko with the High Noon. The Sombra has the Nano plus the Primal, so he's just going to be able to start pushing in. They have nothing to worry about. They are so quick to finish off these fights. Ethan does manage to find out Tilted and try to throw out the Bob, but Bob's going to be booped off point, and the Aztecs are able to capture by just pushing them off with 32 seconds. Aztec still have a considerable huge win condition, but my goodness, we might be going to a 6-6.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those games, into one of those Volskaya games where it seems like it's just going to be the first team to figure out how defense works is going to win. Okeanos, that hurts a little bit. Aztec are able to finish with time on the clock, which is crucial. But you still have 4 minutes. That is plenty of time to figure out an attack of your own and take us to extra innings. They are going to stick onto, it seems, this Ashe Echo comp. The long-range DPS with the dive tanks worked out very well for them first. I think it's going to come down to how Aztec decides to respond. They played super passively before, and that just doesn't seem to suit their playstyle. They got picked apart at the first round. I mean, I want to be seeing a bit of not just a comp switch up with Dark Fox on the Hanzo, but definitely a playstyle switch up as well.
Now they have to be prepared. We see Aztecs not even wanting to humor us with Soldier again, rather running out with that McCree. That's going to be a lot more consistent when shutting down Mecha King diving, and Dark Fox having on the Hanzo is going to burst down those bubbles. I'm now a bit worried for Okeanos. They have 4 minutes, but we've seen teams hold with longer time banks.
Absolutely, as now Okeanos trying to keep their dreams alive and get good. They're going to, looks like they're going to do the rotation through the left side here, as Aztec Ruins has taken positions on the high ground. Tilted and Dark Fox are putting in so much damage. Dark Fox already halfway to a dragon.
They want to take their time. Look at that, already forcing Sombra out. They managed to pick him, just was out of line of sight of his supports. That's going to be crucial. Jonin is the one touching the point, looking to find someone. Is able to find out Dark Fox, who was trying to get the Mega Health Pack. That's unfortunate. Ethan now has free range to start shooting in. And Okeanos hold nothing when it comes. They have nothing to fear, but we are going to see Aztec immediately dying. They're going to have the next room to set up. Okeanos is coming up on the Nano first, so they have room for another engagement.
What exactly was Sombra trying to do there? I mean, it's one thing to be confident with your monkey jumps, but was just totally out of position. Did not have line of sight of his healers, and I mean, that was the easiest pickoff of Okeanos' game, I think, so far. So they will push up into point B with over 3 minutes on the clock to take us to a 4-4 game. If they want to snowball here, they can do it with the Nano Boost from BIOS. They're also going to have the Bob and the Primal Rage coming up very soon. Aztec, for their part, has the Dragon Strike.
Them already preparing in. They're getting ready. Fireman able to find out Sombra. Tilted being shut down too. It looks like no team knows defense on this map because Ethan is going to be able to find out Dark Fox. They don't have any ultimates to solve, but Sectic is coming up on the Graviton Surge. He just needs to delay his own death for a bit longer. Now Built It Up is going to use it. Fireman is able to find out Photosynthesis, but we do see them just continuously move in. Septic finds 3. Sombra may die because the bomb is on point, but the Doomfist is still there and it might be able to touch. We see Tilted now come in, doesn't have the bubble, so it is gonna die to that mech, but we see the Brig now come back.
D.Va.
They're just stalling out. The D.Va's the only person left, and it looks like they're able to hold with just barely 2 ticks. My goodness, Aztec Ruins, you better be thinking Septic for your dinner.
Septi with the absolutely, I mean, there was almost no one alive for Aztec Ruins except for Septi at that point. I honestly think Septi got into the back, grabbed everyone, and then was able to kill all of them pretty much by himself. And that is probably one of the biggest Zarya hard carries I have seen coming out of Septi right there. So Okeanos is rebuffed and with a lot of their ultimates used to boot, but now I think it comes on Fireman with this duplicate trying to get that last tick here.
Definitely agree. Combined with that Valk, they have so much room to move in. Okie dokie gonna be shut down, but Tilted able to find out Ethan with the high noon. We see Fireman starting to primal out Tilted, and it's gonna pick him off in his own spawn room. Dark Fox is also gone. They've lost their DPS. It's up to Sombra to use his primal range to look for some value. The photosynthesis managing to be the one to find out meching, and the bubble's still there to look to survive. We see the monkey return. It's gonna be able to block off, and it's going after Jocko. The Brig invests the rally. That's gonna give them some extra sustain. They've lost this fight because they don't have their full 6, as well as Dark Fox just returning. This is the crucial part of 2CP. You either clean them up fast or have the target focus of literal Overwatch League players. Because when you invest that nano for your D.Va, and in the end, you're only gonna have a minute for one last push and a massive stagger.
Oh, this is massive. It doesn't even kill Joni. Oh no. Because of this stagger, I mean, I think Okeanos has 1 fight left here. One more fight and then maybe a stagger fight as well.
I fully agree.
And they're going to be coming in with pretty much just the D.Va bomb and the Bob coming up in a little bit. Oh man, Fireman's asleep, which is going to delay this push by even a little bit more. Aztec Ruins, they're playing with Dark Fox's Meteor Strike, as well as Septi will probably have the D.Va bomb up as well. Okeanos, they have to get it right here or else their dreams of being GitGud champions is going to end right now.
Look at that, the Doomfist trying to slam, but is going to be hit by the Coach Gun. Ethan making a massive first play, finding out Dark Fox. That D.Va bomb goes out. Ethan finding Tilted. Both of the DPS are going to be the first ones gone, but they're the fastest to come back. Sombra also gone. They're not going to be having much. Photosynthesis not going to be alive. Just stall this out till you at least get to overtime. Look at that. Now we've made it. Septic able to get 2. Through gets the remake. Bob is so low. Dark Fox comes to get meching. The Bob does get okie dokie, but Septic able to find that Bob. The slam goes out, looking for the backline. Ethan is getting pressured out. He's not going to be able to survive. Also, his Ana Bios is getting pressured out. This is the end of it. This is what you've been waiting for. No 6-6, no ending, because Aztec Ruins, they're gonna be your champions.
Septi, the hero, the team captain, I believe, the team captain of Aztec Ruins comes up big on the Volskaya defense. First on this grab, which I think we're going to see right here, and then later on in the with the bomb. Both situations, Okeanos got the first picks, everything seemed lost, but man, look at that right click from Septi getting 3 and turning the fight around in an instant. And then later on, when it all came down to 1 fight, and several picks are going the way of Okeanos, he drops a bomb on the corner of the point, picks off 2, and with that, they're able to turn the fight around. Aztec Ruins are your GitGud Europe Intermediate Division champions, Intel, and man, what a game that was.
Not gonna lie to you, they should buy Septic some dinner. Give this man all your tokens. Absolutely saved more fights than he should have been allowed to. But that's just how Overwatch works. Do you have any lasting comments for the people who watch and their heart pumping from this game?
You know, you're going to look at this game on a bracket and see a 3-0, but I don't think that that reflects exactly how close this game was. Okeanos should definitely be leaving this with their heads held high. They had an admirable season, and I hope they give it another shot next time around, because I honestly had a really good time watching them. And of course, congrats to Aztec for their victory today. You definitely deserve it.
Definitely agree. They have so much room to improve, and I'd love to see what they have in the future. But that's all the time that we have for this match. Please stay in tuned because we're coming up next for the extra division. Useless versus Team Rolled. Stay in. There's going to be another crowning champion in a bit. So without further ado, we'll see you in a bit. See you in a while, whatever.